everybody, welcome back. We are on our third and last reading for the day because tomorrow is going to be a doozy. Villanelle's like it's 100 pages tomorrow. Okay, guys, we're going to be going through 100 pages tomorrow. But anyways, welcome to Scribes and Men. I am the Mad Poet of Thousands, Sam. Welcome to volume 39. As I said, let's get into it. And remember, I still was writing these when I was sick. Bold are your claims that you long to defend, while bowing to the system you now depend. And what is this that I now see of you falling into your self-righteous depravity? Shifting the post while cheering for a divide, constantly ignoring the vitriol seeping inside, claiming you have answers when there's nothing you know, for it's all but an act of your own circus show. Tickle in the throat and I begin to sigh, knowing the sickness is no lie, so I take the medicine and vitamins alike to try and get it to go take a hike. King in the making, a crown for the taking, before forsaking, as giants start waking, inside systems of fear holding us near before they appear, with signs so clear, how did we not know, as they would show, in places we go, to bring us all low, these giants of men coming again, with the might of a pen, so now you can see, in order to agree that we are not free. Questions of a quitter, going through life all bitter. Will you let experience dictate your life, to let misery drown you and constantly in strife? I do not mean to go and whine when I'm not feeling fine, begging to be healthy inside, to the one who has the power to decide. Beating of the heart, during coughs that attack like a dart, thrown to hit their bullseye as I lament and cry, crying out why. Yeah, there was like a time when I was like coughing so hard, it felt like my ribs were breaking. Those are not fun times. Those are never fun times. Crushing ever so safely, and I'm in pain, longing to not experience this again. Remember, I had pneumonia. Is this a punishment or a test to get my body to have its rest? Entering outside, as it end I begin to shiver. Well, years ago I had pneumonia. I was like, oh, please not again, is the idea behind a lot of this. A sickness calls and my bones quiver, and so once again it begins like one of my many sins. They said I was pale and shaking from the men who came awaking all of those who had fallen asleep to save them from the abyss of the deep. Were we meant to only survive, or were we meant to go and thrive? And what does thriving even mean when it's different for every path that is seen? Words that I went to seek, while feeling so weak, trying to continue on, and not be sick upon the dawn. Pain vibrating through my rib cage, from the force of a cough from my lungs, unable to go and disengage, when feeling constricted and high-strung. Pretty little victims with crocodile tears, that you were paid to always go cry, guilt-free. All my plans dashed to the wind when health now has thinned, dragging me back to further away than where I'd like to be every day. Give me time, give me health. Give me time and health and more all right, for all the thoughts do not come as a fight. Yet when I am trying to go and survive, how can my work be written and thrive? On the bed, writhing in pain from an inner system now gone insane, adding their own shock to the heart as I cry at another thing about to start. Of all the things I do hate, the one which I hold the most disdain is being caught up in the state, added with a healthy kick of pain. Crowds of people between invisible wrath, as sickness and plague comes in with a laugh. Despite how hard we try to resist, it broke the barriers as it would persist. How am I supposed to get rest like this? Is there something I happen to miss while placed in a system I never asked to be in, while this sickness as punishment consumes me within? How am I supposed to have this leave when I'm struggling to believe, where no matter how persistently I cry, I am instead left on my own questioning why? Roads of desolation, have we felt like we won when we look back at all we've done, trying to survive off of what we have left while trying to protect ourselves from our own theft? All my attempts for a plan seem to shatter, as if putting them together should never matter. When I'm trying to reach a goal, the goals I set, none of which I have ever successfully met. If we are our own worst enemy, who can save us when we raise our voices into the void in our fuss, standing there ever so slightly hollow, waiting for a sign we can finally follow? I know my potential and I let myself down to know what I hold as I let slip of the crown, sighing because I always, always know there is more that I can do than I ever show. I am the one that I should forgive, for how else am I to live if I can't even go and love the self created from the one above? Call yourself a goth and haven't read what I write? Laughable. Now go on and sit down tight. For do you know the reasons the ravens cry upon the graves under the moonlit sky? There are no answers to go and give until you learn what it means to live. Call all of this a feeling. Call all of this feeling the freezing. I must admit it's not pleasing. I'm shaking and then I'm gone, for but a moment while it's going on. Behold the crown of your king, born of the idols you bring. Who's to blame when all goes wrong, while deaf to the warning song? Claim to be my better, then shall I bow, careful of that hubris you hold now, for when it comes to skill, another comes to challenge what they will. There was a pretty little liar who claimed they set themselves on fire, but little did they know it was all just a show that others made into a satire. Fools of a feather gathered together, protesting under their money tree, creating a storm out of fair weather, showing hypocrisy for all to see. If we are the ones always unstable when brought to the table of blood, money, and deals, is it any wonder how any of it feels? Show me your face and I'll reveal a lie that you won't put away or let die. And so here we stand wearing our mask while pretending to know our own task. How's that false sense of morality you're holding? I did not come to preach or give a scolding, just to come and stare ever so amused while you sit there staring, all confused. They might be giants if only they were as defiant, instead of putting on a show, acting hollower than we'd know. Fall in line, take the pill and swallow. Be a good person and only follow. Never ask questions or even why, and never open your eyes before you die. I never asked to be chosen to end up feeling so frozen, all while trying to become warm in order to weather the storm. So many feelings we find appalling. So many feelings we find appalling that would cause us to be stalling. For who would ever want to feel something as slimy as an eel? We all fell into our mistakes, not realizing how much work it takes to accept and keep moving along, knowing the past is not where you belong. They call us crazy, but how could they know that everything done is all but a show, like one seen on reality TV, caged and never truly free. No need to go and stammer when you go out performing by glamour. Distract them with a spectacular display, so their ears end up mishearing what you say. Catch me on the ground, writhing in pain from the coughs that my ribs disdain. Let it go, let it be free, so that I can become as healthy as can be. So that I can become as healthy as can be. I have come to accept that I have no control over life and all the plans it stole. But what can I go and do but to try and continue to push on through? Try harder, or so they'll all say, the ones who have contingencies every day. But what is it to man whose nature denies, no matter how hard one goes and constantly tries? Becoming sick is just another way to trap a caged bird, whose cries for freedom constantly go unheard. Though the doors are open, still unable to fly, for there is a cage within a cage that still denies the sky. Shall I waltz for you? Would you even listen? Of all the things I do, all while you hate my mission. Motivation of the self takes the level of obsession, to take a tight hold of your possession, then to wield it farther than you thought you could, and further still than they thought you would. Transience of life, passing on through its seasons, from death to rebirth, like the melting of snowflakes to the blooming of flowers, the cycle continues on. Time and energy, that should be an and. What's with the lack of D's? Do not, do not, do not, do not. Time and energy before all goes to waste as we try to hurry in our haste, being taught to forget what it means to be slow, to take a breath or two before we continue to go. There are many things where I sit and stand that I could have held in my hand, if only I had the knowledge to know how, but none of that matters now. Life is too short to be so serious, so why not act a little delirious, dressed up in ways they'd consider you mad? But when was the last time there was fun? But when was the last time there was fun they had? A dance does not always take two, as those who dance under the rain understand and do, for a feeling that the body longs to go and get out beyond that of a song or even a scream or shout. It matters not if one is given a chance to be pulled up on stage for a dance, for how can they see the spark that will allow you to eventually make your mark? People may laugh and scoff at what you say, that you'll go and accomplish one day. And when that day comes, there will be a surprise to find that your words had not been lies. Crystal candy succulent grapes, within their circular shining shapes, pop into the mouth a burst of flavor that you long to continue to savor. There are many things I can write, don't try my hand, for onto the pages those words will eventually land. Whether by a keyboard or the stroke of a pen, it's not a matter of how, but only a matter of when. Displayed all the ways for the ages, the works of my hand onto these pages, to try and understand the motion of a poet showing his devotion. A lonely road of sacrifice to pick up your cross and pay the price, as you move to where you're meant to go, as others will never come to understand or know. Why are the crowds the ones we long to appease, when they're lost in their own disease? For a good leader will not say, but will show, for those who follow cannot understand and know. All the things we could have been, if only we had foreseen, but you know what they say about hindsight, 2020, and blinded by the light. Let go of past inhibitions through the struggle of various conditions. Find something so beautifully new that finally makes you feel something true. Many a thing I try to achieve, but often more than I like to believe. My body ends up fighting against me and refuses to let me remain healthy. All the things I could do if all I did was right. The length of things with no end in sight. Among the height of the scribes looking in as I harness the relentless pursuit I hold within. Why should I count the days by things to do when really we never tend to have a clue, despite there being things we want until life comes on by to destroy and taunt. Every word I say, to every word I pray, would God even answer me this day with promises I never seem to be, but such timing is not for me to fully see. From hot to cold, then cold back to hot, but I'll tell you what I'm not. Pleased with the situation I found myself to suddenly and constantly be around. Of all the things I've loved to talk and bring out to the presence of the people willing to sing, let them find the greatest of choices to use with their siren-like voices. I did not ask to be where I have been found, laying here on the cold ground, staring up with a vacant expression while fighting away another bout of depression. So they saw a man of sickness still living. There are many places we wish to be that would make our lives feel a little more free, and so, like on a race, we begin our chase as we try to achieve our place. Becoming sick rather quick, not what I'd pick, call it a dick. For stealing my health with its stealth, couldn't save with wealth. I want to be free, as you can see, this isn't for me, so I shall try, as I cry to the sky, for the sickness to die. How much more could I do between me and you, if I wasn't here all on my own, instead was given a helpful zone? How much sacrifice will finally suffice before I can truly relax, while not slipping through the cracks? Playing catch-up isn't always fun, when so much work needs to be done, and though the earth rotates around the sun, one day I feel I'll have finally won. All the desires many hold, finding I'm not alone, or so I'm told, separated by those behind a screen, all wondering where the other has been. Do not let it fester too long, for it shall make one weak rather than the strong, becoming victims lost in their hate, while never understanding their state. There is not many things I shall ask, for such a thing has never been my task, from those who have no ears to hear words and lessons made so clear. Sweat of my brow with all I've spent, with the places I've gone and went, from the paper to the screen and everything I've ever done and seen. Oh, how I'd much rather be met with a kiss than a cough of sickness I long to miss. Yet consequence of my actions led me here, and so I must struggle through it all I fear. Am I worthy of a crown Am I worthy of a crown when I've let so many down? This is no survivor's guilt I fear, just questions of why I am left here. Of all I write, could they take up a page, though they might be like a short word of a sage, with it bite-sized pieces where people agree, allowing them to stop when they feel they need. I do not mean to despair, for that isn't really fair when I know it's something small, yet there are different reactions when we fall. A moment of peace under the clear twilight sky as our thoughts float on by. All the things I lack, even though I may not slack, within the realms of what I wish, like the presentation of a 5-star dish. Was I ever one to fully fall in line when presented with a plan or a sign? Maybe things would be different if I were, yet such a thing tends to not occur. What does it require to continue on when you feel rather lost and gone? Why do you pick yourself up off the ground to show the others what kind of person you are around? When shall I meet the magnet that pulls me in, the chemical reaction that lights me from within, until smoke rises from fire for all to see, claimed by the one who forever will be? Am I bound to a place of my own making, with the keys in reach for my own taking? And if so, why have I been unable to open the door to step into something so unexpected as before? I must catch up, but my strength is not my own, for all the ideas God has planted and shown. So how can I accept glory alone, when it's the creativity of God that is greater than what I've shown? Groovy with God, so why should I hurry, as my body dances beside him without worry, with all the stories and laughter we share, who coming between us would ever dare? Another day, another time to repent of another sin that I've gone and spent, while unable to resist my fleshly desire that I wish was permanently tossed into the fire. Spinning around, the system starts filling through the words I write as I'm willing, all within steadfast determination. There can be no hesitation. So many things I should have done, and then I fell. Asked how I'm feeling, and then wouldn't be well, while cursing the sickly affliction, not knowing what's worse, this or an addiction. I must accept the state, for it's already here, and no matter how much I try, it does not clear. Now annoyed with the switch of my face, such did not need to become the case. all the things left behind when the time was not being kind, and life just sat there with a smile all while I waited through the bile. How many things has time set that has become our regret that we wish to go and undo with a time machine and a clue? This is how it shall be, then so be it. I shall take that throne and upon it sit, then stare down at all those who dare to come and challenge with a skill and a snare. We fell into our own desire as we tried to jump out before the burning and the fire, now feeling rather spent, not knowing where those temptations came or went. What will they know? What will they see when it comes to all that we could be? Find a place among the stars where we'll stand, and among those who came before us, hold their hand. And that is going to be it of volume 39. Tomorrow we hit volume 40, which is going to be massive. It's going to be a long video. And yes, I do have a few favorite villanelles from that one, as it is fully villanelle based. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.